And we are excited to have our guest on for the evening, Laced Up Ornn. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Welcome. Do you guys realize how, like, we are in the presence of royalty here? Laced Up Ornn has quite possibly some of the best emotes on Twitch.
That's true.
It's true. It is true.
Interesting. Can we see him in chat? I mean, what are some of her more, famous?
All of them?
There's all of them?
What's the most used?
Yeah.
What is the most used? That's actually a really good question because I haven't looked at emote stats in a while, but I would say Lace Pog is definitely up there. For sure. Definitely up there. And probably Lace, oh my god. Those are like the two classic ones right now.
Fantastic.
Who does your
Ooh, Bear does.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Who? Yeah. Cool. And so for those that may not have run into your chat before, if they would join you on Twitch, what would they find you streaming?
So I'm definitely mainly a Destiny streamer. That's like the core. I would say I stream Destiny probably 90% of the time, but in certain content droughts, I'll stream kind of whatever I feel like at the time. I'm definitely a more shooter like focus. So I'll play Fortnite. I'm really excited for Division 2 coming out. So anything that I get to shoot people, I'm probably playing. Definitely more focused on like playing with friends than like story mode. I usually play mainly story mode like off stream of any type of games.
So I have to ask you right up front, have you completed the entire story campaign of Witcher 2 or Witcher 3?
I have not.
The Witcher 1?
No.
I have not touched any Witcher games. I have seen most of them, but...
Wait, those are actual games? They exist?
Some people in this podcast may have not started.
I haven't heard anything about this.
Finished yet.
No.
So I'm just running through your pedigree, making sure we understand when we jump into your channel. So you shooter games, and you have a really cool community. Every time I jump in there, the cool kids table, the whole. How did that start?
Honestly, it's just it kind of stems from the fact that like the name is supposed to be kind of ironic. That I think most people view video game players as not cool. They're like the nerds, the geeks. And so I wanted a place where like that was the cool thing to do, obviously, on Twitch, is to play video games. So I just wanted a really inclusive community. Like that was really important to me because that's what my channel focuses on, is like I have my friends playing with me all the time. Like it's just all about community and just good friendship, basically. So I wanted a place where everyone kind of got along, had inside jokes, stuff like that. So I think my community is probably the biggest and most shining part of my channel, for sure.
Well, I'm sure you and as well as everybody in here was really happy when Drake made playing video games cool. So it's awesome that we are now, all of us are now inclusive in the cool kids table. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you,
Drake. I don't feel any cooler.
Thanks, Drake. Really appreciate that. Here's to you.
Briar, the feeling you are feeling right now is drunk, not buzz.
Oh, then I do feel a little cooler.
So, Lauren, I saw some comments about like, it's really interesting the view that some people have in the Destiny community about when they joined and started playing, they don't realize that this community goes back a long time. I mean, you started playing like day one, right?
Yep, day one. Yep.
And I brought up your stats, and you played, if not like you made some stupid hours of Destiny 1.
I really did. Like when I very first started streaming Destiny 1, I feel like I played it every day for like so many hours that I would like honestly like lose sleep over just wanting to play. Like I would just give up hours of sleep because I just wanted to keep playing. It's hard to put down the game at certain points when you really want to grind for something. It's like you need it now. So I put in stupid amount of hours.
And do you feel like, and I'm sure we're going to get into more of this later, but do you feel like based on your experience from Destiny 1 that we're getting closer to that feel for Destiny 1 in Destiny 2 now, or is it still at ways to go?
I think we're definitely getting closer. I was actually having this conversation in my chat of like, I know there's always the debate of, is Destiny 2 worse or better than Destiny 1. Like that's a very common like thing that people like comparing. And I honestly sat down and I thought like, what parts of Destiny 2 do I like better than Destiny 1? And I can confidently say Destiny 2 blows Destiny 1's PvE out of the water. Like it is not even close anymore. I think the PvP argument is something that like is very hard to kind of discuss because, you know, different metas change how PvP plays and how people like this fast pace PvP, but I think PvE in Destiny 2 blows it out of the water. Like not even close. It is way better.
So would you say that also includes the raids? How would you rank your raids?
Okay, so yeah, I was also having that discussion because I know a lot of people put Vault of Glass as one of their all-time favorite raids. And I was thinking about that because it's not very hard mechanically. And I think a lot of us kind of have the rose-colored glasses on when it comes to Vault of Glass. As much as I love it, it's not my favorite, and I could probably rank like at least 3 or 4 above it easily.
Go for it.
Okay.
Yeah, this is
my all-time favorite raid.
This will be interesting.
Oh boy.
So
I would say Last Wish is probably my favorite raid. I think it's just mechanically like you have to pay attention. Everyone has to perform their role. There's not like one person really carrying as much. So I would say Last Wish is definitely my favorite. Crota's probably my least favorite.
Okay.
Just because of length. And in between there, oh god.
So if Last Wish is your favorite, would you say that Wrath of the Machine is pretty high up there for you?
I would maybe say that's my second favorite.
Really?
Yeah.
That surprised me because they're so different. It's Last Wish is very mechanics heavy, and Wrath is much more action packed.
I think I like Wrath so much just because I think that's one of the higher. I played Wrath like a decent bit, but I don't know. There's just something about Wrath that I think is really fun because it's like a kind of like you constantly have to keep moving and going.
Action based, yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Much like the current raid that just came out.
The new.
Wait, and spoilers.
We'll get into that later.
I'm just kidding.
Where does
I'm
King's
sure
Fall lie in there?
Oh gosh,
Fall?
I played so many hours of King's Fall, like so many. So maybe third.
Third,
Maybe
yeah.
fourth? Yeah.
Do you think
third or
that King's
fourth, I would
Fall
say.
gets short shrift because it was the raid for a full year?
Literally the
not
only
whole
raid.
lot of
I
raid.
think some
Yeah.
people have gotten sick of
Maybe.
it. Yeah.
Some people just got sick of it, right?
Yeah.
So it lowers their score on it.
So let me ask you, which or anyway, yeah, it's comes down to not only just the raid itself, but where it was in the content,
Yeah.
like
For sure.
release, right?
Yeah. Sure.
And how much time we had in it, and then you bring up the point of grinding it to a point where you're just like your fingers are nubs, and you're like, I can't play this raid anymore. Give us new content.
Yep.
Are we experiencing maybe these current raids are not going to have that same feeling because we're getting content regularly, or is it the different kind of content? So it doesn't like factor in there.
I mean, I rank Last Wish as probably my favorite, and I feel like we didn't get to play Last Wish for as long of a time as other raids because we got this new one. So I feel like that, like, I don't want to say lifespan because I still think it's important to play it for ranking up, but I feel like going from Last Wish to this new raid was a pretty short like gap, but it's still my favorite raid. So I definitely do think it depends on content around it.
It's the same gap that we had for like Leviathan to Eater of Worlds,
so.
right?
Yeah.
It just feels quicker to me as well,
It
though.
does feel quicker.
It really feels quicker. Are you sure, Patrick? Because I wouldn't.
We're gonna have to see the math on that, Patty.
Yeah. I mean, you're not known for throwing out like random facts, but you are. So let's.
But yeah,
15 pounds.
I mean, 15 pounds of crawfish, Lauren, is apparently what Patrick can eat.
That would be
You know,
impressive to see.
Apparently
Same
that's a
goes with
normal
the
sitting.
One raid. It felt like we were playing Vault of Glass for longer.
Yeah, but
I have a
then
bad memory on that, honestly.
so I
We weren't, but it felt like we were.
we felt. So Lauren, you got a really cool following that community that enjoys jumping in and watching you no matter what you're playing, and you do I guess they give that term variety streaming. I'm curious at what you and your community are excited for coming next, like that's not Destiny related.
That's not Destiny. I would say Anthem and Division 2 are like my top 2 games. I am really, really excited for both. I know like the Division originally kind of fell flat with a lot of people's expectations near the end for like their version of raids. I think fell flat for a lot of people, but I know that they've been working really hard on improving the Division, so I'm really excited to see what Division 2 is.
Plus, like, they actually fixed it too at the end of its lifetime.
Yeah,
it became a really great game, but just its lifetime had passed. You know, Division 2 is coming.
So I didn't get a chance to dip back in when they had fixed it, right? So I'm that character that played Division 2, that person, and left when I just didn't. It wasn't when a lot of people left, I think. And I understand they made a bunch of fixes. What did you feel? What do you guys? Maybe open it up to the whole group, but what do you feel like contributed to it getting to, better? I mean, what did they do that made it better?
I don't know how many guys played it.
I didn't play.
I'm just gonna lean back in my chair.
An hour of it. It was so overwhelming, so I did not play much of it after it got fixed.
So they made it so there was legit builds to chase after, and there was a lot of grind available to do. Basically, almost all the activities in the game were essentially grindable for things that could convert to end game drops and all that. So like that didn't exist at launch, and slowly but surely they added all that stuff in there to make long-term chases. And like that's like I still feel like that's one of the things that Destiny 2 is missing, is that long-term chase. Like you once you get the weapon in Destiny 2, you masterwork it and you put a mod, and then that's your horizontal progression. It's done. Like Division added a bunch of horizontal progression at the end of it. And so they're taking that knowledge and putting it into Division 2, supposedly, with their letter that they wrote to the fan base.
I really like the survival mode that they added. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but I thought it was phenomenal.
Survival was a lot of fun, yeah.
Yeah.
And you'd get like end game loot again. Like it would drop rewards for you that were important for your end game progression.
Yeah. That game mode was it was a real blast. It was a combination of PvP and PvE. You can go in there with your friends. You had to deal with the cold and like trying to gear up against the cold, and you felt like you were getting stronger. Like each game that you played, which would last, anywhere from like 10 minutes to a half an hour, you felt like you were getting player progression in that game. But then when you finished your game, you also got player progression outside of that game mode, which I thought was really smart.
Yeah, it was cool. Like,
that's cool.
Trying to extract when you had some good loot on you. You were like, oh boy, I'm firing the thing. Yeah. Who's coming? And like the hunters would show up, and then like if you didn't have a certain level of gear by that time, you knew you were screwed. But if you had it, you're like, okay, you could set this up and correctly take care of the hunters and any players that show up. That was exciting. It was fun playing that.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Lauren, well, I have a question here, and I feel like it's actually a fairly important one because it's a recurring topic on the podcast.
I'm sorry ahead of time.
Lauren, you have tattoos and you like tattoos. I don't know really how to. Okay.
I actually used to, before I started streaming, I was a tattoo apprentice, so I was learning to basically become a tattoo artist. So pretty well versed in it.
All right. Well,
an expert is the word you were looking for.
I mean.
So what is this important question? I don't really know if it's a question much more than a statement that I want you to kind of expand upon.
Shed some light on.
Is a tattoo on the ass painful at all?
Well, so I know a lot of people have like the misconception of like, oh, it's a really fatty, depending, I guess, area, that it wouldn't hurt as much. But and normally I would say that's true, but it also really depends on like nerves. Like if your butt is really sensitive, it's gonna hurt more. If you're not sensitive as much on your butt, then it won't be as bad.
Okay. Great thing.
Pope, how sensitive is your butt?
Yeah, Pope, where do you fall in there?
Don't get up and start slapping. I'm going to say that right now. Don't start slapping your ass.
That's an interesting question.
You're going to get banned.
Yeah,
that's
an interesting question.
If you get a pinch, are you going to like, whoo, oh my gosh, or are you going to be like, what was that? I don't.
Well, let me explain. The answer to that is much more complex than you would think. So let me explain. I spent 15 years of my life racing bicycles. And
you've killed.
So it's like leather.
You killed the nerve endings.
If you know what road racing is like, you often crash. and the first thing to hit the ground is your hip and butt.
Sure.
So I have no original skin on both sides. It's all
scar tissue.
It's all scar tissue.
Little pieces of gravel still stuck in there.
They're still stuck in there. So I don't know if I have any feeling there at all.
That's good news for Pope fans.
Good.
This. I bet this factored into your
Patrick. What's your butt
in.
history been?
The only significant butt history that I've had was in kindergarten when my teacher, I really looked forward to my kindergarten teacher spanking me on my birthday, and I lied about my age. I said I was a year older because I wanted her to spank me extra.
You wanted her to go the extra mile.
Yeah.
So sensitive butt, but you enjoy a little.
But yeah, no, sensitive butt, but not a problem, I think.
All right.
Huh.
Good news, Patrick fans.
Yeah.
Can you at least explain to all of Lauren's fan base that may have not be watching the podcast and are coming to support her
unexplained?
Yeah. Why you were asking about
Really?
Both Pope and I have to get ass tattoos, and we've been very flaky. Well, I've been very flaky about it because I like doing things my own time, which usually involves a very, very long time. And then everyone else is like, you have to do it now. And I'm just like, oh, okay. And it's
been 6 months. You have to do it now.
Yeah,
Lauren,
we did schedule an appointment.
Yeah,
then you have to go.
Exactly. It's like a doctor's appointment. Just schedule it. All right.
Okay.
We did a charity stream for Guardian Con in which
we're just retelling the story now.
Goal was $100,000 raised. Patrick and I would get matching.
No, the original goal was $250,000, and then you lowered it.
Doesn't matter.
I think 100,000 is pretty high, and the community met the goal, and now Patrick is,
he's been dragging his cheeks.
He's been dragging him.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
Well said.
So what I would like to propose, let's make this an opportunity that can lead to something. Hey, if you're listening to the podcast, please tweet to me any places in the east side of Seattle, around like Bellevue or Bothell, legitimate places that I could get attached.
The higher the hepatitis count, the better.
If that's your barrier, Yelp it. Come on.
Yeah. All I'm saying is, if you know a place, please do let me know.
He has found every excuse in the book not to do this thing, Lauren. It's just ridiculous.
You can't fault me. I am at least looking for places now by asking.
Briar, can you save us, please?
Do you know what you're getting?
Yes.
Yes, I am getting half of a heart.
Okay.
Because Pope is going to have the other half of a heart.
That's right.
That's nice.
If we ever come together, we come together, they will match.
Cute, not the entire
smush up. You can smush against his scar tissue.
That's right.
And have the
I want that picture. I will frame it and hang it on the wall.
And I'm also going to get a start on mine. Pope doesn't have to get this. I'm going to get a star field above mine, and disguised in the star field is going to be Riven's eye pattern.
Beautiful.
That's excellent. So
episode,
Brian,
what episode is this?
Save us.
Wait, hold on.
114.
114?
114.
I think this is the first official live public announcement of what the tattoos are actually going to be locked in.
That's great.
That's fantastic.
I've known what it's going to be. I just need someone to draw this well, and we're going to.
You need a sketch of a heart.
We know so many
Ash
artists.
could do it in like a heartbeat. Come on, man.